The 2020 US presidential election and post-election will go down in history books as one of the strangest of all time. We broke some records, with the most votes cast for a winning presidential candidate, the most votes cast for a losing presidential candidate, and the most votes cast through mail-in ballot, as well as, dare I say, the most seditious loser of all time. As strange as it sounds, there have been just as, if not crazier, crazy elections. So buckle up, because I'm counting down the top 10 weirdest US presidential elections in all of US history. Starting off our list at number 10 is the first presidential election in 1788. George Washington ran unopposed and won 100% of the Electoral College votes, which, if it wasn't already obvious, would turn out to be the first and only time this would ever happen. FDR and James Monroe would both come close to running unopposed, but they both technically still had challengers. Number 9, the 1840 United States presidential election was won by William Henry Harrison. Harrison was a war hero, and at the age of 68, he was the oldest person to take office until Ronald Reagan in the 1980s. And he makes this list because he caught pneumonia and died 31 days into taking office. His death presented questions about the line of succession, or who comes after the president if he dies, which later were addressed by the 25th Amendment. To this day, he holds the record for the shortest presidential term in all of US history. Number 8, the presidential election of 1872. In many ways, this was a highly progressive electoral cycle. Victoria Woodhull would be the first woman to be nominated for president, and remember, back then women couldn't even vote except for in the middle of nowhere, aka Wyoming. And remarkably, she selected Frederick Douglass, a black man, as her running mate. In total, there were 3 independent tickets in the race, but ultimately the top 2 contenders would come down to Ulysses S. Grant versus Horace Greeley. Grant was reportedly a corrupt war hero, and Greeley was a socialist vegetarian who thought he could communicate with dead people. Unsurprisingly, Grant won with 286 electoral votes and 55.6% of the popular vote, and Greeley lost with only 43.8% of the popular vote. Oh, and also, he died. In between the election day and the electoral vote, Horace Greeley suffered a, quote, breakdown of both mind and body and died on November 29th of 1872 of natural causes. This is the only time in American history that a candidate died during the electoral process. Coming in at number 7 is Eugene V. Debs and the 1920 election. Debs was representing the Independent Socialist Party, and if the name doesn't give it away, it wasn't a very popular one. He had to campaign from his jail cell after being arrested for his opposition to World War I and his views on the draft. He ended up receiving over 900,000 votes, or 3.4% of the popular vote. Number 6, the election of 1860, aka Abraham Lincoln's first presidential election. Basically, the North liked Lincoln because he was a moderate stand-up dude, while the South hated him because they were afraid he would abolish slavery. This paired with an extremely crowded 4-way race, Lincoln ended up winning with less than 40% of the popular vote. Southern states seceded, and the US Civil War 1.0, and hopefully only, broke out. Coming in at number 5 is the election of 1912. This story starts 4 years earlier during the election of 1908, when Teddy Roosevelt decided not to run for a 3rd term, instead endorsing his even fluffier friend William Howard Taft. Despite his promises, Taft did not hold true to Teddy's progressive legislation, which drove Roosevelt to run against him as a Republican nominee in the 1912 election. Roosevelt won the primary, but Taft was still chosen as a Republican nominee, which made the already pissed off Roosevelt even more angry, so he ran as an independent, which split the Republican vote, leading to the Democratic candidate Woodrow Wilson to win the election of 1912. Number 4 is the election of 2000 between Al Gore and the second George Bush, which was the craziest election in recent history. Ring-a-ding-ding! News update, the second craziest election in all of recent history. On election day, Al Gore won. Well, maybe not. Gore was leading in both the popular and the electoral vote, but tied in the state of Florida. The state was too close to call, so an automatic recount was issued. A month of legal battles later, and Bush won Florida by 900 or so votes, which, despite losing the popular vote by 500,000 hangin' chads, he took home the W after winning in the Electoral College. Sliding in at number 3, Ronald Reagan won the election of 1980 by a landslide, crushing the incumbent president Jimmy Carter. But that isn't the crazy part of the story. See, in 1979, the US-backed Iranian government fell and 52 American hostages were taken and held for 444 days. The rebel Iranian forces hated Jimmy Carter so much that they held the hostages until the inauguration day and released them moments after Reagan was sworn into office. Jimmy did the work, but Reagan got the credit. Number 2, in the 1972 election, Richard Nixon won re-election with a landslide victory, receiving 520 electoral votes and 60.7% of the popular vote. In fact, with an 18 million vote lead, he holds the title for the widest margin of victory in any US presidential election. The only thing is, he cheated. He kept a hit list of his political enemies and attacked them with tax audits and legal action, and was caught with his hands in the cookie jar when his goons were found breaking into his opponent's national headquarters in the Watergate Tower Hotel. 2 years into his second term, he was forced to resign in disgrace. And coming in at number 1 is the election of 1800. It was the 4th election the new country had gone through, and truthfully, they hadn't worked out all the kinks yet. See, back then the Constitution stated that whoever won the most electoral votes would become president, and whoever received the second most electoral votes became vice president. Also, each member of the Electoral College was given 2 votes, allowing them to vote for 2 separate candidates, with an intended strategy of each party putting up 2 contenders, equally distributing their votes, but giving the one they wanted to be president 1 more vote than the one they wanted to be vice president. Well, in the 1800 election, the winning party, aka the Democratic Republicans, were working to place Thomas Jefferson as the president and a man named Aaron Burr as the vice president. The only problem was they tied, which sparked a months-long constitutional crisis with, you guessed it, threats of storming the Capitol, which is all too reminiscent of today. Jefferson was eventually elected president and Aaron Burr vice president. It prompted the creation of the 12th constitutional amendment, with the Electoral College casting 1 vote for president and 1 vote for vice president, creating the presidential ticket we know today. Point is, US history is made up of one whacked out presidential election after another. Well, I guess we did okay with the first 8 years of the whole George Washington thing, but you know, the good times just can't last forever. I'll leave you with an inspiring quote from our soon-to-be former president and FBI's #1 most wanted: "Go home, we love you, you're very special." Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed learning about the 10 craziest US presidential elections. If you did, give this video a like and subscribe with push notifications on. Click here to see a YouTube video YouTube suggested just for you, and here to see my latest video. Stay you, stay beautiful inside and out, and keep smiling. Bye-bye guys!